John and Vic, Dalton Reisner, what appealed to you about him, and where do you initially plan to play him? And you get your quarterback, Drew Lock. What went into that thinking? Because you had said yesterday, quarterback really wasn't, under consideration. So basically, where do you plan? What do you think of Reisner?
I said that yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, must have changed overnight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I didn't totally lie, right? Okay, good. Well, we're excited about Dalton. I think that the staff liked him. Mike Munchak really liked him, and so he was a target for us starting the day, as well as Drew. So we thought they were both players that we really wanted, targeted, and were able to move up and get them at 41 and 42. So we were thrilled that they were still there, and it worked out. We were able to get up. But I think they're planning on playing Dalton at guard. Yeah.
Vic, how does Dre'mont Jones fit into your defensive scheme?
I think initially, he's best suited to playing our nickel as a tackle. But, the techniques in there are very similar to our base package also. So he'll just be thrown in the mix with the other guys and let the competition play itself out.
I guess it's kind of for both you guys. When did you said overnight, maybe it kind of changed, John. When did the conversation start happening between you guys in the room that moving up for Locke was going to be the play? Was it going into round two, or was it when you started seeing picks happen that you wanted to make that move to go up and get him?
I think that's the thought process. I started thinking about it last night. Once the day was over, you start looking at it and looking at different opportunities before we left, and it was late when we left. And then, getting back in today, we started talking about looking at different options, and so that's when you kind of talked it through and thought that was our game plan for today, and do everything we could to make it happen, and we were able to get that done.
I'm just interested why you thought you had to move up 10 spots to get them. Did you think?
Miami was in front of us, and I'd heard some other teams, so we didn't know if he was going to get by the Raiders, so there was a lot of scuttlebutt out there. So we really thought, and plus with Miami in front of us, we thought that was one we had to get in front of. So just started at the top, and we were able to get it done, deal with Cincinnati, so it worked out very good.
John, you told us yesterday that you didn't have any first-rounders left on the board. Were you sandbagging a bit, or was Drew just really high as a second-rounder?
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. We're very happy with all of the picks we got today. So we feel like, they're very good football players that will be able to help us.
John, was Drew the top quarterback on your board, or where did he fall there for you guys?
Yeah, he was, and then when he kept falling, we felt, just kept an eye on it, and then when he got into the second round, and then where we were today, thought that it was important for us with the extra ammo that we were able to pick up yesterday from Pittsburgh. It allowed us to move around a little bit and move up, and so we're excited about that.
For both of you, the fact that you took 3 offensive players with your first 3 picks, John, was that you saying, I have faith in Vic and the players I have on defense, and I know he'll coach them up? And Vic, did you at any time say to John, hey, give Rich some help on the offensive side, I got this?
No, I never said that. It's just the way the draft falls sometimes. If there had been players from the defensive side of the ball that we had stronger feelings about or higher grades, we would have taken defensive players.
Well, he knew my history. He knew my history was drafting defensive players, and so I think like Vic said, though. I mean, it's the way the board fell. It's the way the draft was set up for us this year, and so felt like especially the offensive line with Dalton in there, and with Fant, as a tight end that really can run down the field, and then a future guy that we believe in will be hopefully the future for the Broncos down the line. That felt we had to take advantage of that.
John, I was standing right next to you at the Senior Bowl when Dalton came up and introduced himself. Said he, really wanted to make Colorado proud. Was that a lasting first impression for you?
Well, I got a chance to meet him there. Plus, he came in our room in Indy, and plus he came for the one of our 30 visits, and so got to know him. And he's a outgoing guy that's very excitable type guy that was fun to be around. So It's always fun to be able to get, number one, get a football player like that, but also have a homegrown in Colorado here that where, he's going to, play for the Broncos. So, but we're excited to have him. I think that, with his versatility, he can play tackle. We think he'd make a really good guard also. And so, and he's played some center. So we think we got the best of both worlds with Dalton.
Hey, John, what stands out about Drew's game tape, and what does he need to clean up once he gets here?
Well, I think, Drew has obviously got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of arm talent, but he's got a lot of work on a lot of different things too. I think when you look at what he did in college offensively, he's in the spread offense and wasn't under the center very often. And so with what we're going to do offensively, he's going to have a lot of work to do. And, I think technique is always a big thing. We talk about accuracy, and accuracy a lot of times comes down with comes to technique and throwing on rhythm. And so, we believe he's got a ton of talent, but we also believe that, he's got a lot to work on. But it's nice to be able to, have the coaches work with a stable of, abilities that he does have that I think, Rich and everybody's excited to work with.
Hey, John, did you have a conversation with Joe Flacco about potentially drafting a quarterback, and then once you actually did select Drew Lock, and how do you expect him to handle this, especially given what he went through last year in Baltimore?
Well, we haven't had a chance. We meant to talk to him today and got going again, but I think that, the bottom line is he's come to compete as a backup. Joe's the starter, and there's not going to be any, when we look at it, we look at, we're hoping that Drew's the future. But Joe is the starter, is going to be the starter, and, he's going to battle. We kind of look at it as, the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers type situation. He's going to have time to sit and watch Joe and take his time and learn and continue to get better. And so we feel that we're in a good situation there. Plus, we didn't have we had guys competing for a backup position, so he'll be thrown in that bunch.
Corners or wide receivers, any part of your conversations today?
Yeah, they were. But the guys we had targeted at the top of the third were gone. That's why, we ended up staying with the board. And that was a discussion. Corners were no question, a discussion too. But when we got to the top of the third, we felt that dre'mont with the pass rush ability inside, with the outside pass rush that we have, it'd be a great complement inside. And so I need to think that he's a guy that's continued to get better. He's got great quickness and, has a height, tremendous upside. So that's where we settled.
John, does taking Drew in the second round rather than the first round make it easier on both the player and the organization to move him along at the proper pace? Well,
I'm hoping that it allows us to let him grow, and the expectation is not, as high as it would be as a top 10 pick, and that's what he needs. He's going to need that time and the patience and continuing to work with it, and he's going to be able to watch Joe and how Joe works, and Joe's done it at a very high level for a very long time. So he's got a great guy to follow and watch and learn and see how it's done.
John, did teams show interest in Chris Harris today, and is there a chance that after the draft, as you said, that you guys would still consider trying to get something done?
Yes. No, I did not hear anybody about Chris today, and yes, as I said the last 3 times, that when the draft's over, I'd be glad to talk to Chris and see what we can do.
John, all the guys you've drafted so far, you've brought in for pre-draft visits. Why this year was that so important, where you haven't done that necessarily in years past?
Well, I don't know. I guess it worked out that way. I think that in the way that things fell and the guys that we wanted to get to know, we were able to do that. Obviously last year we didn't have Chubb in on the 30, so we just felt that with the guys that we did have, we wanted to get a chance to get to know them better. And unfortunately, it led to us being in a position to be able to take them because once we did get to know them, they're all really good kids.
Vic, I know we're a long way away from game practices, week of practices, but whether he's the second or third quarterback, is it safe to assume that Drew Lock's going to play a lot of scout team just to get looks against your starting defense?
Yeah, whoever the backup quarterback is, or quarterbacks, if we keep 3 or have one on practice squad, they'll share the scout team duty.
Vic, in your experience, how often on day 3 of the draft is a team able to find guys who can come in and make an immediate impact? Is it possible in those later rounds to still identify those players?
Oh, sure. Just recent history for me was, we got Eddie Jackson in the 4th round in Chicago. I think we got Tariq Cohen in the 4th round in Chicago. I think we got Adrian Amos in the 5th round, I believe. And all those guys have turned out to be good, productive players and played a lot of football for us there. So, yes.
What kind of board work did you guys do with Drew when he came in? I know you see the game tape and you see what he can do physically on the field, but when you can kind of test him mentally, what did you, when you had a chance to do that, kind of put him through?
He did a really nice job. Really did a good job on the board and has a great knowledge of the game and what he was looking at. Great recall of, we went back over and watched tape of him, and he had a great recall of each play and what he was thinking on each play. So he's a very bright kid. He's very bright, and so that's why I think that, we're excited to have him because he does a nice job. He wants to be good. He's a competitor, but the great thing, too, is he knows the situation here, and that's that Joe's the starter, and he's got a great opportunity to sit behind him and watch a guy and, learn and get better.
Vic, this has been such a big year for defensive tackles. I'm curious how your evaluation maybe has, if it has changed at all about the valuation of defensive tackles, how Jones might be able to fit into your scheme as a pass rusher, and maybe how players like Aaron Donald have changed the way we view what is possible and for guys of that position at different sizes.
Well, they're hard to find. If you talk to college coaches, they're going to tell you the same thing. They have a hard time finding them out of the high schools at their level. So if they're having a hard time, it's naturally going to fall to us that we're going to have a hard time. Good defensive tackles are just hard to find. And they come in all shapes and sizes. You have your preferences as to a certain skill set. But you've got to be able to adjust and adapt and play the guys that you can get. And, he's not 295 or 305 pounds, but we believe he can play inside for us and continue to develop.